What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today on the table in front of me is one of my all-time favorite budget knives. This is the Ruike, although it is spelled R-U-I-K-E, P-108. Now this one is a little different than the ones you'll see. I had two of these, one in all stainless steel that was silver, and then a black one with a black-washed blade. And in a fit of weirdness, I went ahead and swapped the satin blade into the black washed handle, and I like it a lot better. So if you go look for one of these, you'll find one that is either all silver or all black, but this one is mine, and so this one gets to be, well, done the way I want it to. Look, this is a great knife, and I am super fascinated by the way they've done this because it's got their funny little lock on the side here, which I never use. But what they've done is made just an exceptionally useful knife that costs about 30 bucks, I think, maybe a little less. It is 14C28N blade steel. It has almost a Persian sweep to the blade, but not quite. It is nice and thin behind the edge. The action, well, is very good. It has a really nice pocket clip that is deep carry. It has good snap to it and good ramp. It gets in and out of the pocket very easily. It is comfortable in hand, and even though it is all steel construction, it's not that heavy. This is just a really nice knife in the $30 range, maybe $35. It's been a while since I bought this, so I'm not really sure what they're going for right now over on Amazon. I'm at about 50% lockup. I actually think the lockup was a little less when it had the original blade in it, so it may have to do with some sort of fitment at that level. Look, I know my channel and I share a lot of really expensive knives, but that doesn't mean that's all I've got, and it doesn't mean that's all I like. And it doesn't mean it's all you have to like either. This, which has been around now for, I think, a couple of years, is a superb budget pocket knife. It really is. Now, they make one of these now. They make an M series in titanium and 154 cm. It's $100 and something. Now look, this is a great design, but that pushes this knife into competition with a bunch of other really excellent knives, where in this form, steel and 14C28N blade steel, it isn't really competing with many things because it is kind of unique at that price range, at least in this sort of design. It has a G10 backspacer, which looks like a glass breaker, but it's G10. You're not going to want to do that. I think this is a great knife. I really do. And this is another one of those knives that I recommend to people who aren't really knife people, who are looking for a good long-term use, like they're going to have it for a while, sort of knife that won't fail them. I love the way they've done the sharpening choil here. It really allows for enough thick spot here at the edge of the blade. There is nothing that interferes with the cutting path. You can get a hold of this thing really well. Now, it is a little thin through the handle, and so when I hold on to it, there's a little bit of rock, but not much, because it thins towards the end, which allows it to move in my palm a little bit. As far as I'm concerned, this is probably one of my top 2 or 3 favorite budget knives. If you're looking for a knife that will serve just about any purpose, handle wet weather, manage itself under any conditions, the Ruike P-108 is just an excellent choice all the way around. If you're looking for a more expensive version, again, they make one now. If you're looking for a knife with a weird lock, I don't know why it has that. Well, Women Carry Knives is laughing at me over there because I just don't get it. I never have. What bothers me most is that on the more expensive version of this, the M model, they've actually left that in place, and they should have just removed it. It is a neat feature, I get it, but how many of us walk around and actually lock our folding knives? Never is the answer, I think, probably, but hey, whatever. This is very nice and stabby, so if you find yourself in a gas station fight, it is going to serve you well. Even though the little backspacer is G10, it is still very pointy, and if you give somebody a knock with that, they are going to be thinking about it for a long time. The shape of the blade has got a nice flat for push cuts and a beautiful belly for working up close with things. It's got a nice, very stabby tip on it for very fine work. I've used this for packages and food and everything in between, and it has never let me down. It's just a clean knife. Sometimes I leave things in their cases for a long time, and then I take them out and stare at them, and I think, why haven't I been carrying this? I mean, look at this. It's got the pivot and then one screw in the back. The rest of the show side is absolutely clean. On the lock side, we've got the funky lock mechanism. That is true. We've got a little bit of blue here on the on the pocket clip that adds just a pop of color, which doesn't appear anywhere else. It's a good knife. You know, in all fairness, LTK did a review of the M version of this, the more expensive version of this, not that long ago, and it inspired me to go into my knife case and pull this out and take a good hard look at it and remember why I loved it so much in the first place. Now, I'm not going to be buying the more expensive version of this knife. I have no reason to. But I would buy another one of these if something happened to this one, because this is that knife that I can take with me when I'm afraid that I might damage my knife or lose my knife, or the conditions are such that I don't want to take one of my expensive knives. This is the kind of knife that you can just chuck in your bag or your pocket and know that it's going to do everything you need it to, and you're not going to have to worry about it if something goes wrong. That's a really valuable place to land with a knife. When you're carrying a $2 or $3 or $4 or $500 pocket knife in your pocket, you do carry some concern about what may or may not happen with that knife. With a $35 or maybe even $40, whatever this thing is, let's just say as high as $40, whatever, pocket knife in your pocket, you're not afraid to hand it to somebody. You're not afraid to use it for almost anything that you need to in the moment. It is a very good working tool for the money. Let's do a size comparison just for fun. Here is the ever-present Rat Model 1. As you can see, it is considerably smaller than the Rat Model 1. And let's go ahead and do the Rat Model 2, just for the sake of it. As you can see, this thing fits nicely in the middle, in between these two knives. The Rat Model 2 is, of course, too small for me. The way they've shaped the handle, it's just uncomfortable in hand. Rat Model 1 is a wonderful knife, but sometimes it's a little bigger than I need in the moment. I know, I always like big knives, but that makes the P-108 an excellent choice for in-between. And given how thin it is through the handle, it's almost a gentleman's carry in shape. I know it's not fancy enough. It is just at, a little under actually, a ½ an inch thick through the handle. When closed, it is basically 3/4 of an inch if you do not, well, yeah, 3/4 of an inch if you don't include the flipper tab. You're gonna, but it's shaped in such a way that when it's in the pocket, the flipper tab kind of gets out of the way, which is really nice. This is just a great knife. All right, I admit it. I love pocket knives of all shapes, sizes, and prices. But there are a few that live in my collection that don't see the light of day very much anymore because of how my collection has changed, particularly over the last year and a half. Stuff like this needs to come out and play. It is worth it. This is a good knife. I'm glad I broke it out of its case, and I think it'll spend some time in the pocket over the next week or so. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Ruike P-108. I've been a Therapeutic Edge. You have, as always, been my kick-ass audience. Feel free to like the video on your way out. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. I'd love to have you here on a regular basis. We'll see you next time.